Look at a video of a crowd from the 1960s. Notice anything strange? Almost everyone is thin. Now walk through any modern supermarket. What happened? We're told we just got lazier. We're told we eat too much. But what if the real reason didn't start in your kitchen? What if it started in a government hearing room in 1977? In 1977, the U.S. government released a document that permanently altered the human diet. It was called the Dietary Goals for the United States, and it had one massive, simple directive: eat less fat and eat more carbohydrates. At the time, America was terrified. Middle-aged men were dropping dead of heart attacks at an alarming rate. Politicians, led by Senator George McGovern, needed a villain, fast, and they found one. A charismatic, highly influential scientist named Ancel Keys presented what seemed like a bulletproof case. He claimed that cultures eating high-fat diets had higher rates of heart disease. Case closed, right? Not exactly. Keys cherry-picked his data. He conveniently left out countries that didn't fit his theory, like France and Switzerland, where people ate massive amounts of natural fat but had incredibly healthy hearts. But politicians weren't looking for scientific perfection. They were looking for policy. Meanwhile, another scientist, a British nutritionist named John Yudkin, was sounding a massive alarm. He looked at the exact same data and said fat isn't the enemy here, sugar is. He even wrote a book warning the world called Pure, White, and Deadly. So what happened to Yudkin? He was mocked, ruined, pushed entirely out of the scientific community. Why? Because the other side had something far more powerful than the truth. They had funding. Decades later, researchers digging through dusty archives uncovered internal documents that shocked the medical world. They proved that back in the 1960s, a group called the Sugar Research Foundation paid elite Harvard scientists, the equivalent of $50,000 today, to write a heavily biased scientific review. Their explicit goal? Shift the blame for heart disease away from sugar and onto fat. And it worked flawlessly. When the 1977 guidelines dropped, telling Americans that fat was deadly and carbs were healthy, the food industry didn't panic, they celebrated. Think about the food science. When you strip the natural fat out of food, it tastes like wet cardboard. To make low-fat yogurt, cookies, and salad dressings edible, corporations had to replace the missing fat with something else just to maintain the flavor. That something was sugar and high-fructose corn syrup. Overnight, the grocery store aisles transformed. Suddenly, eating a massive bowl of highly refined cereal with skim milk was considered heart-healthy. Bacon and eggs were out. Processed, sugar-packed, low-fat snacks were in. And if you look at the obesity charts in America, right around 1980, just a few years after these guidelines were published, the line stops being flat. It shoots straight up. We didn't just get fatter, we got radically sicker. Rates of type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome exploded. Now, hold on. Was this some grand mustache-twirling conspiracy? Did the government want us sick? Most historians and modern experts say no. The politicians in 1977 genuinely wanted to save lives. In fact, during the hearings, some top scientists begged the government to wait. Philip Handler, president of the National Academy of Sciences, famously asked the committee, "What right has the federal government to propose that the American people conduct a vast nutritional experiment with themselves as subjects?" He was ignored. It wasn't malice, it was arrogance. It was politicians acting on incomplete science. And once the guidelines became law, a trillion-dollar industry simply built itself around them. The food companies didn't care about making us fat. They cared about selling cheap, highly profitable products that legally fit the new healthy label. Today, modern nutritional science has flipped. We now know that healthy fats, like those in avocados, nuts, and olive oil, are essential for our brains and bodies. We know that excess sugar and ultra-processed refined carbs are the real drivers of metabolic disease. But the damage is done. The 1977 lie reshaped our taste buds, our grocery stores, and our health. So the next time you walk down an aisle and pick up a brightly colored box that proudly screams low fat, ask yourself, what exactly did they replace that fat with? If John Yudkin had won the debate in 1972 instead of Ancel Keys, what do you think the world would look like today? Is the obesity epidemic a mistake, or was it a calculated market opportunity? Drop a Team Yudkin or Team Profit below.